Hey everyone, welcome back to Self-Serving Skillet. I am finally feeling better, but I have missed a whole lot of work. So that means finding inexpensive and easy to prepare meals for me and my family. And what's more inexpensive than a sack of potatoes? So I'm gonna show you one of my favorite ways to prepare this potato, and this is called a Hasselback potato. And it's gonna stay whole, but these edges and this skin is gonna get very, very crispy. It's gonna be very nice. Let's start by making our butter mixture. I'm gonna put, for 3 potatoes, I'm gonna put about 4 tablespoons of butter into this pan, melt it down. And you can season these however you'd like. You could do sort of a patatas bravas thing. You could do O'Brien. You could do a smoked paprika thing, which sounds very good. Today, I'm gonna go for more of like a breakfast potato sort of thing. I'm gonna do some chili powder. I'm gonna do some garlic, a little bit of cayenne, and I'm gonna serve this with some eggs and some ham. And I'm not really gonna measure this. I really just want enough in there to get the flavors out, a little bit of dehydrated garlic powder, a little bit of chili powder, and just a dash of cayenne. And I'm gonna stir that up, make sure all those seasonings get incorporated into that butter. Once it's all melted, we don't need to cook it anymore. The goal is not to have it brown or to boil off. We just need it to get a little melty. There we go. We can set that aside, work on our potatoes. To not cut all the way through these potatoes, I'm gonna use a couple of wooden spoons as guides. I'm gonna find the flat part of my potato, or the flattest part. You can also cut off the bottom to let it lie completely flat, but I find just the guides are enough. And put the guides on either side, and you're gonna cut straight down. And that ensures that you don't cut all the way through the potato. So I'm gonna make these cuts about, really as thin as you can make them. I like them about 1/8 of an inch apart. It's about 1/2 centimeter. And this will get the inside really nice and soft while getting the skin very nice and crispy. There we go. And as I get to the middle and then past the middle, I'm probably gonna need to turn this around so that I can sort of maintain a grip. There we go. That's a good turnaround point. And then I'll work from where I left off. And don't be afraid to try to get them as thin as you can, because if you mess up, there you go. That's a good example. If you mess up, you're just gonna cut off a slice like that. You're not gonna go all the way through, which is nice. It kind of gives you permission to be a little bit daring with your knife work here. Forgot about salt. You never want to forget about salt. Of course, if your butter is already salted, you may not need any or as much. I'm just gonna go with maybe 1/2 tablespoon in that whole thing, and make sure that that gets in there. The better tool for this would, of course, be a brush, because we're gonna use a brush anyway. So let's get out a brush. And before I paint these, what I really wanna do is sort of open these up. And you're not gonna get them all open. Sometimes they're gonna come back and they're gonna stick together, but you can get some of them open. Just giving them the idea, the good idea of being open. And once we do that, get my paintbrush full of my paint and paint my happy little potatoes. And once these are in the oven, these are gonna go into about a 425 degree Fahrenheit oven for 20 minutes. at a time, after which I'm gonna take them out, baste them again, get them back in the oven. They're gonna start to dry out, and we can get the layers to stand open a little bit easier. So I'm not too terribly concerned with those layers being absolutely open at the moment. We just want to suggest to these potatoes that they give this butter a chance. All right, into that oven. I'll see you guys in about 20 minutes. It's been 20 minutes in that oven. I'm just gonna take a dinner knife here and open up these layers. And you don't have to be super meticulous about this. You can definitely put on some oven mitts and sort of work it around with your fingers. I'm just gonna take the time to kind of separate these, and this will make it really just nice and crispy. You'll get all of those layers in, and it really doesn't take that long. If you're gonna take the time to do it, take the time to do it. There we go. As soon as I get these sort of separated here, this potato is pretty good, and we don't really have a lot to separate here. But as soon as we're nice and separated, the butter's going back on. We're going in for a second basting, then back in that oven for 20 more minutes. Before my potatoes come out of the oven for the last basting, I'm gonna get the rest of my ingredients ready here. And here I just have a freezer bag full of ham that I bought the whole ham for maybe $25, $30, I don't remember exactly how much, but then I cut it into 3-ounce portions, which is approximately 80 grams. And I got maybe 25 portions out of it. So one portion of ham here is probably about $1, so I'm gonna factor that in, and I'm making this for 3 people, so I might as well get 3 portions out. And the other thing that I'm gonna do here is crack my eggs into a bowl, and what I like to do with my eggs is just take the inner membrane. Oh, look at that. That is a shell. And that's okay to get my hands dirty, because I'm actually gonna reach in and I'm gonna grab this inner membrane here and just break it. And that way my eggs will lie flat in the pan, and that white is gonna cook evenly. So I'm gonna get nice firm whites and nice runny yolks. After another 20 minutes here, I'm gonna take these potatoes out. I might give them a little bit more separation with a knife here, just because there are a few layers that haven't quite separated, and I want them all to get nice and toasty. There we go, that one's looking good. Give those another baste with our butter that's solidified a little bit by now. It's still nice and runny, but that's okay. It's getting nice and down into those potato crevices, which should be the name of a band. What am I gonna do next? These are gonna go in for another 20 minutes, and I'm just gonna throw all this ham on here. Now these are frozen, but this is also cooked. So we just need to warm this through. And this is going back into that oven for 20 minutes. Those potatoes are really gonna crisp up at this point. We're gonna have some very nice and toasty ham. You could do this with whatever meat you wanted. It doesn't necessarily have to be a pork product. You could do a little flank steak. I might do that on the oven top. You could do some chicken as well, bacon, breakfast sausage. Any of these things would be just fine. Or you don't have to do meat at all. But this is the way I'm doing it. Our goal here is to have less than $3 on the plate. Sack of potatoes was something like $7. I got about 12 potatoes, less than $1. I got this whole ham for $25 somewhere around there, 25, 30. I got about 25 portions out of it. That's around $1 worth of ham here. Eggs are about 60 cents a piece, less than $1. So I'm gonna have around two and a quarter on the plate. Perfect for a cheap, quick meal. This is taking about an hour, but it is downtime. It is mostly downtime. I've had time to do my dishes. I've had time to upload a video to YouTube. So this is not a difficult thing. And in fact, the next thing I'm gonna show you is probably the most involved part of it. And I'm just gonna make my eggs. All right, so I have about a teaspoon of butter here. That's 1/3 of a tablespoon, or about 10 grams. And I just wanna get this nice and melty so that my eggs release. And once that is melted and bubbly, I know it's time to get my eggs in there. Now, remember that inner membrane is broken up here, so my whites are gonna lay a little bit more flat than they otherwise would. So all I'm looking for is for that white to become opaque, and then I'm gonna flip. That's gonna last for maybe 30 seconds, then they come off the heat. There we go, and when I was filming the B-roll for this, I wasn't confident enough in my flipping abilities, so I failed. Self-fulfilling prophecy. Let's see if I can do a little bit better this time. I wanna bring these towards the bottom edge of the pan and flip. There we go. And that's a win. Let's get these onto the plate that I'm gonna serve on so that they stop cooking, and our potatoes should be ready in just a couple minutes here. All right, this looks really good. Let's pop the potato down on this plate. One of our hams. There we go. All right, so how are we gonna do this? Let's go with, as always, some of my favorite Parmesan cheese over top. And get a little bit of salt first, just right down in there. And what I find with these potatoes is that if you cut into it right now, it'll be very soft, and the outside will be slightly crispy. But if you let it steam off for even a few minutes, the outside is gonna get crispier and crispier. I really appreciate these potatoes at about 7-8 minutes. A little pepper, freshly ground black pepper, and our Parmesan cheese. Let's eat. It's been about 6-7 minutes. I really wanted this potato to sort of steam off a little bit, and this is, I don't know if you can, let me get that closer to the mic. Like, that's pretty crispy. I forgot to baste this a 4th time. Usually I'll baste it once more with whatever I have left when it comes out of the oven. Let it rest. It really didn't suffer from not basting, but let's try the rest of our meal here. This ham and this egg, and you really can, if you know technique, if you have some technique, if you have not even mastery, but at least what's below a master, novice, intermediate, if you have at least intermediacy or a curiosity even with how heat and time affect food, you can eat like a king for $2. Cheers. I guess I didn't count the cost of the Parmesan cheese and the basil in here, but honestly, this basil's been growing on my windowsill forever, so for all intents and purposes, it's free. And the entire Parmesan wedge about that big, probably cost me about $7, and I maybe used 20 cents of it. So $2 meal. It beats the heck out of mac and cheese, out of ramen, out of sort of your basic egg potato dish. This is really very excellent. Get in the kitchen, make yourself something amazing. And if you need some more to do with potatoes, well, I've got you covered. I made a pretty killer mashed potato to top my shepherd's pie, both of which I'm gonna leave right here.